Chapter 12. The warden turned impatiently. "Panchuk, get a move on it," he snapped. "Try to keep up." Nikolai hurriedly fell in step behind the warden as they exited the building. What would happen next? He was going to be was he going to be given a pass from work for the day? Was he going to be allowed to rest and worship according to his convictions? The warden walked to one of the sod sheds and opened the door. It was the stables, where old Maxim was kept, and it smelled of it. There were no windows in the building, so the inside appeared dark and foreboding. This didn't look good. Undoubtedly for Nikolai, things were going from bad to worse. Was he going to be beaten again? Was he going to be tortured? Nikolai cringed. Was he going to be executed? Suddenly, Nikolai began to panic. During his early morning prayers, his imagination had run wild with all kinds of abuse that he knew they could heap on him. But he hadn't really thought of death. Not really. Death had always seemed so remote out here where there was so much work to be done. In a camp like this, where the prisoners did all the work, executing prisoners seemed so pointless. Nikolai knew this kind of logic bordered on insanity. He had to get a grip. He watched as the warden walked to a corner of the dark stables where a large wooden box sat. It didn't look to be much more than a meter long or high, and possibly half a meter wide. Nikolai's heart began to hammer wildly in his chest like a caged animal. Was this the end? He tried to calm his racing heart, but there was no time to think, no time to collect his wits. Then he remembered his prayer that morning and his promise to God. He had pledged himself to suffer anything for God. So why not now? Why not this? Whatever the warden had in store for him, it couldn't be worse than what Jesus had suffered for him. The warden lifted the top of the wooden box. Even in the dim shadows of the sod stable, Nikolai could see that the box was empty. "Get in," the warden ordered. "Get in?" Nikolai echoed. The warden didn't reply. He motioned with his head toward the crate. "The box? I'm supposed to get in the box? Do I need to spell it out for you?" "Yes, you're supposed to get in the box." The stables echoed the stillness of the morning. "Now get moving. I don't have all day." Nikolai took one last look at the warden and then stepped toward the box. He lifted a leg and got it inside. It was smaller than it looked. "Sit down," the warden ordered. As the lid slammed down over him, a shower of dust choked Nikolai, making him wheeze. "Hope you like your new home," the warden called as he turned to go. The wooden slats of the box were thick, so it looked like it would be next to impossible to break his way out. And beside, what would it accomplish? The warden would just build a stronger box to hold him. He had heard of boxes like this one being used to keep prisoners locked up, but this box had so many cobwebs it didn't look like it had been used in years. Maybe the box was used for the hardest of criminals. Maybe the other prisoners just behaved themselves and didn't get themselves into predicaments like Nikolai had. The light from the open doorway told Nikolai that there were cracks in the sides of the box. He would have no problem breathing, but keeping his legs from cramping up was going to be a trick. He couldn't stand up and he couldn't lie down, so he couldn't stretch out his legs. Nikolai wanted to give up in despair, but he knew that wasn't an option. Not when he had promised himself that he was going to be true to God and be his steadfast witness. Suffering was the least of his worries. Failing to trust in God was a bigger concern right now. Nikolai closed his eyes and leaned against the inside wall of the box. He knew this was not going to be a pleasant experience. In fact, it promised to be downright excruciating. How long would they wait before they let him out of the box? Days? Weeks? Would they bring him food? Would they bring him water? Would they let him go to the bathroom? Please, Lord, don't let me become discouraged, he prayed. Don't let my faith in you fail. As the hours slowly passed, the light in the stable door changed direction and then finally began to grow dim. About that time, Oleg, the ox cart driver, came into the shed leading old Maxim. Oleg gave the animal food and water and then left. Nikolai thought Oleg might at least have offered him some water, but then realized he should have asked. What had he been thinking? Oleg probably didn't even know that Nikolai was locked in the box in the shed. Hello, Maxim, Nikolai finally called to the ox, trying to cheer himself up. I hope your day was better than mine. As Nikolai sat in the box, he could hear the old ox munching the sedge grass in his manger. He thought about how hard the ox had to work as a beast of burden every day, and he found himself feeling sorry for the ox. Right now, though, he thought he would gladly change places with the ox. Even if he had to pull an ox cart loaded with water barrels all day from the spring a kilometer away, it would be better than sitting in this box all day.